Well, hello again from a van, different van today. Welcome back to Primal Prepper. Today I'm going to talk about lone wolves. I've seen lots of prepping channels doing about lone wolves at the moment. And I don't mean the isolated, like, canine original species of wolf. I mean the prepper who thinks they can go it alone. Now, you can't, okay? It is that simple. If you can, well done you. But just let's think about this for a second. It's only going to be for one generation. Yeah, literally, you're just going to ride something out. You might as well have just not bothered. Okay, so we're going to talk about like the lone wolf and the communal aspect of prepping today. So you think about all these disaster movies you watch, 2012, Waterworld, The Postman. I don't know if you've ever watched that one. I think I personally think it's a much better film than a lot of people gave it credit for. It's another Kevin Costner film, and all these things, they all have something in common. The main hero was a lone wolf. Okay, was, implying that they're not anymore. So in Waterworld, Kevin Costner, he's on his little boat. He don't like company. Okay, yeah, he's one of those mutant ones who can breathe underwater, but that's evolution for you. And it's he thinks. Oh, hang on. Okay, so let's try this again. I just had a phone call come through. That's the problems of videoing when you're driving in it. You got your camera set up on the little. The idea is the phone holder's meant to be there for incoming phone calls. Yeah, hands-free and all that. So yeah, well, what we were talking about, Kevin Costner, he's all alone. He's on his boat. He likes it that way. Yeah. By the end of the film, he's created a nucleus of a family around him. He's dealt with a township floating in the middle of the sea. He's beat off the baddie with the help of others. Okay, Postman, very similar thing. In that one, he was a single isolated person, and he ended up in the baddies training camp, and he got away from that, and then he found a post bag, and then he used that post bag to get access into a settlement, and then he became part of that settlement. Okay, in 2012, you're thinking, well, where's the lone wolf in 2012? Yeah, it's a bit of a shady one. Jackson, the main person, in 2012, he's by himself. He's divorced from his wife. He has his kids at weekends. Okay, but he then realizes that, well, if I'm going to survive this, I want to survive it with my family. And he goes and gets his kids, and despite the divorce and everything between him and his wife, he ends up taking the wife and the new husband. Okay, and it goes on from there. The lone wolf strategy sounds ideal. It's just me, only have to worry about myself, don't have to think about anyone else. It's all good stuff, but it's a short-term strategy. As I said, might as well not be trying to survive an apocalypse if you're going to be like that. Yeah. Can you hear the braking of the lorry in front? Anyway, so you have to start building community. And like most things with prepping, the best time to do this was yesterday, last month, last year. Unfortunately, you probably haven't done that. We all have busy, hectic schedules. Hell, I'm doing my videoing for these videos, or for this channel, while I'm driving, because I'm doing like 12-hour days at the moment, 13-hour days at the moment. I ain't got time to sit down and do a video at the end of the day. Be quite honest, I struggle to get through a dinner. But it's taking the time. So if you haven't started building community, and let's face it, most of us actually do have a community around us. We have our workmates, we have our neighbours, we have our friends. We have our families. Now, not all of these people might feel the same about your outlook on life. Not all these people might feel like there is going to be some need to start using using those years worth of prepped up food you have on one side until it happens. And at which point you and your community you have, your like-minded community you have, will have to and ah about if you take them on board or not. Yeah, emotional and blood connection is good because, well, you can rely on them. They are family. They're always there for you. But there is that old saying, you can pick your friends, you can't pick your family. Emotional connection is also bad because you feel guilt, you feel sadness. Can you turn your brother away if he turns up at your door with nothing? Can you tell your parents what to do and how to do it when they've been, up until this point, the teachers of you? Okay? And yes, there is that also saying the student becomes the master and things. Well, good for that. But can the master then revert back to being a student? There ain't a saying about that, is there? The master becoming a student? Probably because in the long term they can't do it. They think they know best. They think they have the experience, the knowledge, the wealth to do better than you. Now, also with community, you got your neighbours, okay? Think about where you live. Think about your street, your cul-de-sac. Yeah, okay, some of you may be in little farms miles away from any other house, but they are there. Go over to them, introduce yourself to them. They are in just as much isolation as you are. So go and help that. Start working together. If you own a little farmstead and they own a little farmstead and you have a potato harvester and they have a small combine harvester, you can help each other out, yeah, with stock rotation and the like. Well then, this video isn't going to be a quick one I can post out just before I start work, is it? Because I'm going to have to edit it quite a lot now because I keep getting phone calls. But well, that's it. That's community for you, isn't it? It's my work community in contact with me, which is nice that my work community is in contact with me. But getting back to it, think about your street, think about your cul-de-sac. Even if you're an isolated farmstead somewhere, there is people near you, okay? Start talking to your neighbours. You could go down the route of I'm preparing for the end of the world. Are you interested in helping me when it happens? Yeah, and to be fair, depending on how well you know your neighbour, depends on the answer you're going to get from all that. Okay, again, I watch a lot of videos, I watch a lot of prepping videos and things, some of which just to get ideas of what to talk about. Others to sort of think, oh yeah, I haven't done that, I need to get something like that sorted out. And one of these videos said, don't do that tactic. And so I actually paused the video and I literally turned around to one of my colleagues and literally asked them exactly what the person on that video told me not to do. And he looked at me and he went, what's a militia? So I told him what a militia was and he went, yeah, I'm up for that. Yeah. But on the other hand, he's known me for years and he knows I'm into this prepping business. Okay, so your neighbours probably don't. They might see you bringing in more shopping than you can eat in a week. They might think, what the hell does he do with all that bottled water? But they don't actually know. So introduce yourself to them first. Yeah, I'm Joe Blogs from number 30. Yeah, I live on the corner. And then perhaps throw a bone to them. Yeah. Oh, I have a lot of camping equipment. So if you ever have a power cut and you need to boil a kettle or heat some soup, just let me know. I'll come over with my little stove, or you can come over to mine. We'll make a party of it. If it ever happens during that party, you can advance further with that. But you've broken the ice. You started communication, and that is the main thing. Actually talking to people. Now, I know in this day and age, it's a bit hard. You stand there, you see someone, you're quiet. Let's all take this away from prepping for a moment and let's just take it into real life. You're standing there in McDonald's, you see some person you quite like the look of, and you're thinking, should I strike a conversation up with them? I don't know if they're single, I don't know anything about them, but I really like the look of them. Until you ask, until you find out, you don't know. Yeah, they might come back with the fact that no, they're just in here a one-off, getting a breakfast for them and their partner. It's answered the question. You suddenly know that, well, there's no hope for me there because they're already involved with someone. Okay, it happened to me this morning. So there you go. That's why I'm saying it. But until you actually break that ice, you never know. I also found out they're a decorator. I got some shit in my house which I need doing. I ain't got the time for it. I know other decorators, but hell, I'm gonna give them a bone. I'm gonna throw it their way. They don't live in my town, but their partner does. So I know they're in my town all the time. It's simple. It's like, oh, next weekend when you come up, can you just like take like half a day out, do my ceiling, whatever. Yeah. So there's that. Other things about community. Remember, that same said community around you, yeah, are likely to turn on you when the shit hits the fan. When the power's been out for a week, they've run out of water. Why have they run out of water? Well, they don't have lots of bottled water like you have, yeah, because they're not preparing for anything like this. And the taps have stopped working. No, the taps have stopped working. Why is that? Because the power's been out for a week. Yeah, the diesel in the backup generators of water towers probably only last maybe 12 to 24 hours. Okay, and then you've only got the pressure in that water tower supplying a whole big town, city, village, wherever you get your water from. Yeah, they're gonna start looking. It's getting to the point where they need to have water, food, and they suddenly think, oh yeah, Joe Blogg's at number 30. He gets a huge shopping delivery every week. He must have about 5 gallons of water every week. Now, in reality, 5 gallons of water isn't much. If you're not using your taps, that 5 gallons of water is your water allowance for the week. Okay, in fact, it's less than that. So, but they don't know that. They're just thinking, oh yeah, lots of water. I'm going to go and get some. Bear that in mind. So, the lone wolf. What can we say about the lone wolf? Let's just paint a picture. Society has collapsed. You've gone off to your little bug out location, that nice log cabin you have set deep in the forest somewhere. There's a clearing nearby. You've ploughed the land. You've got a horse. You've got seeds. You're growing food. Fantastic. You've got your medical supplies for 6 months. You've got your food supplies, your water. You've got your solar panel array. You've got your backup generator. You've got your backup battery. You have your backups for your backups. Yeah. Have you got your backup farrier to put a new shoe on that horse when the horse throws a shoe? Have you got a backup blacksmith to make you a new plough blade for your horse to pull? No, because unless you are a jack of all trades, you're a master of none. Okay? You might be able to watch the farrier and think, oh yeah, putting a shoe on a horse isn't that bad. Yeah, you bang the nail through the hoof, you clip them off on the top. It's not that simple. They make it look simple because they've been doing it for years. Yeah? They had to make that horseshoe first. And even if they just get loads of pre-made horseshoes at various different sizes, they still heat them up and shape them and profile them for the horse. Okay? It's a bit like when you go and get a proper pair of shoes and then you take them to a cobbler and they make them perfect for you. Okay? It's the same thing. And there's another one. What do you do when your shoe's got a hole in and you're walking along and then you cut the bottom of your foot on a dirty, nasty bit of flint in the ground? Yeah. Have you had your tetanus shot recently? Do you know the symptoms of blood poisoning? Chances are, if you're going the lone wolf, yes you do. Yeah? How about when the winters lasted longer than you thought it was going to and you didn't chop enough wood in preparation for that? You're out there in the cold, you're chopping wood. Hypothermia has a chance of setting in. Who's going to notice you mumbling your words, starting to take your jacket off in the freezing cold grips of winter, because your body's got to the point where it thinks it's actually hot. It's that cold. It thinks it's hot. Yeah. Who's going to say, come in, get a nice cup of tea? Who's going to actually make that cup of tea while you're out there chopping the wood? The lone wolf idea is beautiful in practice. It's a little bit like communism. Yeah. On paper, it's a wonderful government system. In reality, not so good. Okay. Lone wolf is exactly the same. It's a wonderful concept. We all fantasize about it. I've fantasized about it. Maybe just me and a choice couple of others, but it's still not going to survive. Yeah, there is a magic number between about 8 and 15, I think it is, 8 and 16 maybe, which is the perfect group size. Not just for survival, yeah, but to actually start to rebuild. There's another magic number. It's about 150, and that is the magic number of how many people we can actually know and keep track of consciously in our head. Okay, so all you people who have Facebook, Twitter, thousands of followers, yeah, just think about it. How many of them do you actually interact with? I know I have a fair few followers on both of those particular platforms. I don't actually interact with many of them. Okay, it's probably about 0.1% of my followers and the people I follow who I actually interact with. Okay, so there is another magic number. So when your community, I know this is starting off as lone wolf and it's turning into community, but when your community actually starts to get bigger, yes, you might have started off with a group of 10 or maybe a group of 17. Let's just pick random numbers out of the air. Yeah, and let's face it, I don't know, over the first couple of years, you might lose a couple, you might gain a couple, but you might also bump into another group of 20, say. So then you're a little group of, let's say 35 at this point. Don't worry about the maths. We've got the unexpected variables thrown in there as well. Okay, so you're now starting to actually go from just a little surviving community, yeah, just a group of survivors, to an established village, and then another, because obviously now you're an established village, yeah, and you're getting into the realms of numbers where you're actually going to have to start creating things to keep the village going. You can't rely on the berries in the hedgerows. You can't rely on the rabbits you're catching in snares. You're going to have to start farming. You're going to have to start animal husbandry. Okay, you're going to have to start keeping livestock of various different descriptions. But then, because of this, you probably got buildings. Yeah, even if they're just ramshackled shacks put together with old rope wood you found laying around. Yeah, you have shelter, and with that shelter you make fires, and with that fire comes smoke, and you cook your foods you have cooked, and with that comes smell, and these things attract other people. So pretty soon, once you've established a small community, that community starts to grow because it starts to attract other people. Yeah, it just think of it. Loads of people left their various different countries and went to America because it was the land of the free. It was where you could make your millions. Okay, it was attractive. They thought it was going to be a better life. Now, if you're a group of survivors, let's say 7 or 10 of you, and you're roaming around in the woods, and one day you get to the edge of the woods and you see what looks like a little ramshackled encampment, and you're thinking, well, it's better than laying under a blanket of leaves every night, I will give it a go. We are ultimately a herd animal. Okay, and this could take me down all sorts of other little rabbit holes, which I'm going to try my best not to go down. But we are ultimately, at the end of the day, a herd animal. We live in groups, we live in societies. There are very few animals out there which are isolated. There are very few lone wolves out there. Just actually think about it. Wolves don't come alone, they come in a pack. They work together, they communicate to each other, and they survive. They're successful at doing that. Okay? The bison and wildebeest, do they have wildebeest in them? I don't know. But the prey that the wolves are living off are also a pack animal. Yeah? The lone cow will get picked off by a pack of wolves very quickly, or a pride of lions, or I don't know what hyenas are, hackling hyena, hackles of hyenas, I don't know, but a group of hyenas hunting wild dogs. They all come in groups. Now, yes, you do have the isolated accounts of like tigers tend not to be a massively social animal. They get together, they breed, they go off their separate ways. And leopards, very similar, maybe groups of 2 or 3 leopards, family groups of leopards. And you have things like bears, again, not really a big social creature, but they are big, powerful creatures which can defend themselves. Yeah, we are not. In the grand scheme of things, we're on about the same level as a pig. In fact, the pig's a little bit higher than us. Okay? Sorry, just had to pause the video for a second there, clearing my throat out and actually taking a bit of a corner. So, yeah, where was I? We're about the same level as a pig. Okay? In fact, pigs are a bit dangerous to us. There are documented accounts of pigs killing their farmers. Yeah, you hear stories that if you fall over in a pigsty, you need to get up really quick, otherwise the pig's gonna have you. Yeah, you could have flashed and let me out, couldn't you? Cheers, mate. But yeah, so in the grand scheme of things, we are not as good as we think we are. It's our technology which allows us to be the apex predator on our planet. Okay, and that's only an apex terrestrial predator. Once we get into an environment we're not so adapted for, and our technologies are not so technical for, like the sea, we're not an apex predator. We're back down to being prey, and we're very down on the food chain on that one. Okay, yeah, the cod might not eat us, but a moray eel might have a go. Okay, the shark wouldn't think twice. Maybe the killer whales and the porpoises and the dolphins, but that's just their intelligence what stops them from attacking us. Their curiosity would rather see us what we're going to do and how long we can float there before our bodies blow out because it's absorbed too much water. The point being, there is safety in numbers, but you have to be careful with numbers, because if you let the numbers get out of control, okay, they become a hindrance to you. As I said, you can only keep up to, it's a maximum, it's a ceiling number, 150 active friendships going. Okay, now let's call it that. After that, you start to lose track of things. It's a simple, just how many, just drop it in the comments. How many times in a week do you walk into the kitchen and then can't remember why you walked into the kitchen? I know this is probably going to be hitting at an older age group, like my own age group, yeah, but it happens. You think of when you're at work, someone's asked you, oh yeah, can you do this before you go? And then you're driving home and you think, ah, shit, I never done that. You can't keep track of everything all the time, yeah. And once that age group, once that number, that 150 ceiling gets hit, yeah, you start to get groups. In fact, you'll get groups before that. Oh dear, quite literally. You start to get groups forming before that. You'll always have groups, yeah. If you are two survival groups will come together and make a larger group, there will always be their side and your side, and then you will have a crossover in between. Okay, and as these groups get bigger, these little individual groups will always be there. They will never go. And how do I know that? How can I prove this to you? Just look at society today. Okay, we can pick any part of society and find these groups. Let's just go for something way out there where you think, well, what are you going on about? Something. Let's just go for sport. Okay, now think of your favourite sport, and then think of your favourite team for that favourite sport. Drop it in the comments, and then think about all the other teams and all the other little groups of people who support those teams and the rivalries some of these teams have. Okay, like I'm not so clued up on like the American sports because I'm not American, but like in football, soccer, yeah, over here in England, we have Liverpool and we have Everton. They are both very close together. They're both classed as Liverpool teams, yeah, and they don't get on very well because they're actually competing for the supporters of that city. Manchester City, Manchester United, again, they're competing for the supporters of those cities. Everything about prepping, everything about survival, everything about building communities is already laid out in front of you. All you have to do is look and study and take it from a viewpoint of how does this work in a societal manner. Yeah, the reason there's rivalries is because they're competing for resources. In this particular case, the resource happens to be the fan, the follower, the supporter, the person who comes and pays the money every week at the gate so they can watch the game. Yeah, it's like that. I'm going to wrap it up now because I'm nearly at site. I'm nearly at work and having to put in for a massive tractor, and yeah, then we will have another video at some other point. Who knows what I'm gonna yabber on about tomorrow on the way into work, if I'm working here tomorrow. Well, I suppose no more editing. If I'm going to have to edit this video together because it's in little bits and bobs where I've had phone calls and I've filled up the van and I've cleared my throat and I've turned corners and stuff like that, I might as well do the ending as well. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Drop anything in the comments. Let's have a little chat about this. Give me your ideas about community and how to build a community after something really bad has happened. And this doesn't necessarily have to be a worldwide event. Hurricane Katrina, okay, in America, devastated New Orleans, and I am sure, and if you are from that area watching, you can probably tell me, yeah, that new communities built up. There are now new groups of people there, okay, what wasn't there before, that are survivors of Katrina, and it's them people, and they will stick together, and they stick together through all the storms now, and they phone up each other like when power cuts happen, and it's like, are you all right, do you need anything? Because they've gone through it. Let me know if you've gone through anything like that. I mean, I live in a pretty stable country. I don't have to worry about hurricanes. Okay, we get some bad winter storms, but nothing compared to a hurricane. We don't have to worry about earthquakes. Okay, yes, we do get earthquakes, but they are minuscule compared to some places. Don't have to worry about volcanoes. And I can actually say I don't have to worry about volcanoes. We've had them in the past. They're dormant. They might reactivate one day. Who knows? But we don't have to worry about them. Okay? So let me know about your experiences, your things, what have happened to help you make a new community of some description. Anyway, this part of the video was meant to be me wrapping it up, so I'm going to say thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, drop anything in the comments. If you can see a hype button anywhere, hit that hype button. It does amazing things for tiny channels like myself. It pushes me up the viewing ranks, and then also in turn makes the YouTube algorithm push me out to more people, which I would appreciate greatly, because hell, I might talk a load of nonsense, but I've just whiled away 30 minutes of your time. You can just have me on in the background while you're driving. Listen to a madman rambling about things while driving. Until the next time you're watching one of my videos, just remember, don't be scared, be prepared.